Yeah, somebody talk to me.
From a big picture standpoint, 5 practices in, are you where you want to be? How you feel about where things are right now?
Yeah, I don't know if you're ever, where you want to be, but I think we started from day one pretty good. I think there's not a lot of balls on the ground, not a whole lot of missed assignments and things, and that's certainly a credit to our coaches and our players for learning, but we just came off another physical practice, and I like where our team is through five days, I guess, Tom, would be the best way to answer it.
And what is the scrimmage situation looking like for Saturday? How do you think that's going to go?
We're going to have a rack of ones, twos, threes. We go good on good every day. So we go 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, threes. Not necessarily in that order, but 1, 3, 2. Saturday we're going to go 1, 2, 2, 1, 3, 3, then a combo period, and then a 3, 3 again. So the combination would be probably, for an example, take KJA out and put Malik with the ones. Put Tykees Crawford at right tackle. Probably in that combo you'll see 3 to 4 guys on both sides of the ball out, like we did in fall practice. But basically I want Malik Hornsby to play with the best offensive line he can, and then on defense there'll be some guys like Bumper. We would probably take him out during that particular part of the scrimmage. Then we're going to come back and we're going to scrimmage red area, high and low. Then we're going to come back and third down, and 2 minute. And it won't be like it was before in the scrimmages where we're going to immediately do the situation. In other words, if we're 3 and out, we're not going to punt the ball. We're going to scrimmage, O versus D, and then we're going to break it off a little bit like practice is, where we have a punt return period at the same time. Then we have a kickoff. The first one will be kickoff return, then punt return. The only thing we'll do as far as what you would call situational, it would be anytime we'd get into a field goal situation or extra point, we're going to kick it immediately at that point. We think we'll put a little bit more pressure on our kickers that way.
Speaking of Malik, we've seen him at wide receiver some the last couple of practices. Could you give us some insight on how that kind of came about and how he's done so far?
Well, to be perfectly honest, when he went in the portal over Christmas, and I want to explain that too, sometimes you say things that aren't true, and I want you to know I'm not saying things that I believe is not going to be true. I don't know if that makes sense, but Malik didn't miss any practice, didn't miss anything. He got in the portal over. The thing that bothers me, if we got guys working for 3 weeks and a guy goes in the portal, he doesn't like who comes back on the portal, and then he says, can I come back to the team? No. You missed 3 weeks of ball and work. Malik didn't do that. In that conversation, I said, we're going to give you every bit of opportunity to win the starting quarterback job, but also if you come back, I need you to be open to playing wide receiver. And so we're doing it at a slow pace. We certainly want to give him every opportunity to win the starting quarterback job, but I think you've seen it, and we certainly have seen that he could help us tremendously as a wide receiver. So that's how it came by. And to his credit, he's doing a really good job with it, and he's having to play extra reps and those things. But I think with Fortin coming on a little bit more and more and more, that will help us be able to do that a little bit.
How do you handle him, like with the scrimmage on Saturday? I mean, I assume black quarterback jersey, non-contact. How do you handle when he's out at wide receiver and stuff?
Yeah, we're going to keep it that way. I also think that the guys in green that we would have in green, they're just going to, we're going to scrimmage, but they're still in green and the quarterbacks are still in black. So if Malik happens to be out there, we're not going to tackle him at wide receiver, certainly quarterback. But same way with Cat's still in the green. But we have to scrimmage him. We'll just have to. That's the worst part of scrimmages. Whenever you have that happen, you have to decide, would he have tackled him, would he not have, things of that nature. And it's more important about how we play, and if we're crisp and solid and those things. But him and probably Hazelwood would be the two greens that come right off the top of my head. We're going to keep them in green Saturday, but we're going to play them. Cat and Hazelwood, neither one of them would probably play in that combination time anyway.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about McGlothern, and it looked like he was getting some first-team reps over at one of the cornerback spots, and also Kari Johnson, I believe, was working some middle safety today.
Yeah, we feel pretty good about our corners. How they're playing right now. We need a little bit of help back to the middle safety, so we moved Kyrie back there. McGlothern has played well. He's long, very confident guy. He's played well along what happened, and you guys know it. We moved Chavis to corner as well. So with him, Clark, obviously, and then you have Day-Day, we felt like we could help the team and help the player in moving Kyrie.
Terry Wells was kind of slow coming out, I guess, but he hasn't been out there the last couple of practices, neither has Trey Knox.
He's got an injury. Terry's got an injury that we're getting looked at. We don't know exactly what we're going to do there yet. Obviously, we'll do whatever the medical staff tells us to do, but he's had a back issue. And then Trey, actually, over spring break, was blindsided with a family, blindsided by a car and hit his head, and so he's been in concussion protocol. That'd be the reason he's not out there.
Coach, how have you thought KJ has looked? To me, it seems like looks like a returning starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Do you get the same kind of vibes from him?
Yeah, and a lot of confidence, throwing the ball with velocity, throwing the deep ball well. Threw a good one to Malik today, actually. That was a nice catch he made on the very first play of team run. But what he's done is, even though the kids believed that he was a captain last year, which I did too, but I was a little bit surprised because, he hadn't played before, but voted team captain. But I shouldn't have been, because I understand how the team feels about him. But he'll be a captain again. I mean, he leads the football team, and along with those guys in the secondary, I think they're very valuable too. All of them are, actually, but those are the older guys that are leading us.
You're off to a great start in recruiting, obviously, and you're going to get the opportunity, I guess, this spring to go out and evaluate. How important is that time, and I mean, how great is it just to have that back and be able to do normal things?
I told our staff that you make less mistakes in recruiting by going to see them and then have them in camp. And obviously, for a majority of my head coaching, we haven't been able to do that. The other thing is the board. I think where we're pretty good right now is our recruiting board. You make mistakes in recruiting when you don't have anybody on your board that you can get. And then what happens is you go, okay, well, old kid plays hard, maybe we'll turn him into a superstar. That usually doesn't happen. And because he has to have something, some size, something like that. I think the biggest thing right now changing in recruiting is who we're recruiting against. I think when we first got here, we were battling a lot of schools that weren't SEC schools. And now, because of the success the kids had last year, we're in battles with everybody. And to be honest, that's where Arkansas should be. But we weren't that way in our at least a year and a half of recruiting.
When you were hired, you talked a lot about it being a big person league, the SEC. How far do you think you progressed in that regard?
Say again, brother.
Being a big person league, having big
Yeah,
people on your
well,
line.
We've been pretty good on the offensive line, you know, as far as getting some size. Our backs seem to, you know, the backs that we have seem to be, you know, pretty good size. Our quarterback's probably the biggest one in the SEC. I like long receivers. You look out there with two and Tom Warren and Hazelwood and Malik when he's out there. There's some big, you know, tall receivers. Excuse me. We went into the portal and tried to build in that aspect as well. You know, like Drew Sanders is a big linebacker, and Landon Jackson, even though he hadn't been able to, I don't know if y'all haven't been able to see him, but he's a big man too as a defensive end. Breeny's a big nickel, big safety. So we're getting closer. We're not there right now, but you can go out and recruit big and fast just like you can small and fast. They're just harder to get, you know. So right now I feel like we've done not me, I feel like we have done a good job in the portal to this point. I think we hit on our portal kids, and we've got a couple interior D linemen and a wideout that we need to help the team somehow.
You didn't go through spring a couple of years ago, but I wonder if you could kind of assess how much farther along you are in the size from when you inherited this team a couple of
I
years
feel
ago.
like the team's a lot further. You know, I'm more comfortable, you know, with scheduling and urgency of practice. I'm more comfortable personally as a head coach. Part of that may be because, you know, we've kept our three coordinators. That helps too. We've kept our strength coach. That helps too. But I think our team, I believe our team, it was a fight of getting them all to buy in, getting them all to get off the sideline and get on the field. You know, a lot of questions of, do I really want to be here or not? Not me personally. I'm talking about the kids. You know, do I like it enough to stay? I don't believe we have any of that problem now. So it's a lot more fun, you know, because you got kids that want to be, all of them. They want to be out there. They may not like where they're at on the depth chart or something like that, but I feel like we've got a team that would, you know, run through a brick wall together, and that's when you start. As long as you'll play hard and you're tough and you're loyal, you got a chance.
Kind of off the wall question. Fletcher, you had the punter coming back from last year. Was Fletcher just too good to turn down? I mean, or was that, went into that?
Yes. Now he still has to win the job over Bauer, because Bauer did a really fine job for us. But yes, I think he had really too live of a leg for us to say we're going to turn that guy down. And I think part of it too is that we found out how valuable putting a scholarship is into a punter and a kicker. And, you know, without a scholarship, we don't have Cam Little. And I don't know, in the end, he didn't win the game. I'm not saying that, but in the end, what he does for a living is going to win or lose the game for you. And I think there's several games last year that I never thought about him missing it. I just thought, can we get close enough for him to kick it, you know? So there's a lot of value there. But to answer your question, yes.
Real quick, Trey. You had some recruits here today. I mean, they come to each practice when they can, spring break and whatever. How important is it for kids to come and watch you guys work with the players you've got on campus and stuff?
Yeah, I think it's a big deal for us. I'm sure that every school in the country is working hard. You know, I like the way we're working. You know, I like our team, but I think it's important. You know, it's a comfortability thing. In other words, if I go to a meeting, to a practice, go down and watch individual, things of that nature, I think it makes a player more comfortable shutting down questions in their mind. Well, this is how it's going to be. This, because we all in recruiting, we talk to them and say this is how it's going to be, and hopefully whatever we say, that's how it's going to be. That's how it's going to be, and they see it, and then you start building a trust factor with them a little bit.
Since we haven't been able to see Landon Jackson, I was wondering what kind of role is he more of a left end defensive tackle, or is he an edge guy? What do you see for him?
We recruited him to play defensive end. We recruited him for rush ability. He certainly is big enough to play the run. But our thoughts are him, and for that matter, I'm talking about guys that aren't here yet. For that matter, Nico Davier would be a defensive end. Now, he's a big man, but I think, he's talented enough to get to the passer. And that's, to me, that's what we either going to have to blitz to get to him, or we're going to have to get in a four-man line and go get him. But right now, I think we're getting better, Trey, of doing that. But we got a ways to go. But I like where how they come this 5 practices on the defensive line.
And a couple of more of the transfers. We haven't asked you a whole lot about Latavius Brini. Just what your thoughts are on him so far, and you touched a little bit on Cade Fortin. What you said you like what he's doing.
I think with Brini played the nickel, at Georgia, and he wanted when we recruited him, he wanted opportunity to play safety, which would be for us boundary safety. And I think it's been a little bit of a learning curve for him. Obviously, it would be a learning curve if he played the same position, terminology-wise, and then knowing the kids and all that kind of stuff. I think over the last couple of practices, we've seen the Brini that we thought we recruited and that we knew when we were at Georgia. I think we'll move him at some point to nickel as well, and maybe get some type of combo role in there. However, Johnson's playing really good, out there, so at safety and nickel, and so I think there'll be 2 interchangeable guys, I guess is what I'm saying, when it's all said and done. And then Fortin, I just like Fortin. I like him. He's an adequate passer. He's older. He's played in Division 1A games, and I think as we continue to go, I think he'll be. I knew him out of high school too, because I recruited a player for Georgia from his same high school, so I got to know him a little bit, and I like him, but he's led us in some 2-minute drills early, and we scored, and he's got just a little bit older mentality about him.
I want to kind of follow up on Trey's question about the ends, and that's, you said you were going to work more on some sending an extra guy. I wonder how the pass rush has looked, because it looked like in some pass rush stuff there's some quick pressure and a lot of pressure.
We did 9-on-9 today, which is 2-on-2 was 7-on-7 behind it, 2-on-2 up front. Obviously, Cody needs, our line needs a little bit more work on twist games, things of that nature. But what I see, the difference I see right now in our D-line is the explosion off the ball. That we are moving the line of scrimmage backwards a lot of the times in our pass rush games, and we're attacking the tackles more on the edge and making them move their feet. So I think Deke's done a really good job. The kids, I think, have really, really gotten close to his teaching and things he's done. But I think we're getting better there. Obviously, I'm excited about the 2 transfer guys that we have coming in, one here and one coming, that we'll see how they can rush the passer.
I had a question about back. So we talked to AJ on Tuesday, and what a wonderful, well-spoken kid he
AJ
is.
Green? Yeah, man.
And so the depth you've got at linebacker, something's going on where none of those kids left, and you got Dominique and you got those 2, Rocket and AJ. Could you talk about the running back room and what you see out of them?
I mean, that's Coach Smith. I mean, it's hard to have Rocket and AJ and now Dominion and Dominique Johnson and keep them all, and they're all, you know, not mopey and walking around like that. That's Jimmy Smith doing that, but they're, you know, there's got to be a one, and he's got to carry the ball more than the two, and then the two's got to carry it more than the three. Sometimes games don't work out that way is a problem. You know, he's in there, but he's not carrying it, you know. But that's Jimmy doing a good job with them, and I think the greatest thing we have in that room is competition, including Davinian now that he's come in. I really like him. I think he's going to be a really good player for us.
Coach, I had another recruiting question for you. I know you can't mention specific guys, but I'm curious, have you noticed an uptick in the caliber of athlete that's interested in Arkansas now, maybe compared to when you first got the job?
Yeah, I mean, big time. If you look at all the junior days we had in February and not February, can't do it in February. Can you? What was the dead month? Anyway, in January we had 3 or 4 weekends, and y'all wrote about them. I mean, we had some really good kids, and we got kids coming in too, and we're in it, you know, and that's the biggest thing. You know, you might have the great one come with another kid. The great one right now is coming to see us, and obviously we have to be good closers and all that kind of stuff, but I think the kids feel what we do about Arkansas, and that, you know, people can be yourself and sell the university, you know, and so I've got a really good group of coaches that do that.
Coach, whether it be the practices that you've had here or maybe the weight training since you guys got back from Tampa, is there an overarching characteristic of this group that you've perceived over the last few months?
We work hard, and we don't really know it. You know, I like that about our team, that you can work hard and then you see the strain on their face, and, you know, I'm working hard and I hate it, but I'm working hard. That's not the case with this group. They work hard and they're having fun. And I think you have a really loyal group of guys to each other, and, you know, I told them, you know, loyalty and toughness will take you a long way in life, and if we're loyal to each other and we're tough, which we have been, and if somebody will talk to you and say that you play hard, that's one of the greatest compliments you could ever get. So that's what I see out of our kids.
Seems like Coach Adams and Coach Bowman have fit in seamlessly, both, you know, on the field and in recruiting. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, they really have. You know, Dominique hit the ground running, and so did Deke, you know, in recruiting. You know, they're both really good at getting guys on campus and communication and all those things. I believe, you know, what happens when you start bragging on the guys that you hire, some people might take that as you are negative about the guys that leave. That's certainly not the case. With the University of Arkansas, if I have somebody leave, I'm going to replace him, you know, and hopefully with one that brings something different to the table and things like that. But that's what Dominique and Deke have done. They've come in, and you know, I believe if you ask both position groups about them, I believe you'd get rave reviews, and I think you would feel it and not just, well, they're just saying what they think we want to hear. I think you could see it and feel it, and anytime you get the kids feeling about you that way, they're going to play well and play hard.
All right, thanks, Coach.
All right, guys.